To his family, he was a brilliant research physician at the World Health Organization, a man fighting on the front lines of global health. To the French authorities, he was a con artist who hadn't held a real job in nearly 2 decades. And to his wife and children, he was about to become the architect of their final, terrifying moments. This is the strange, dark, and mysterious story of the Roman family murders. Before we begin, please find the like button and tell it you've found the perfect investment opportunity that's guaranteed to double its money in a week, then take the money and disappear. To the outside world, Jean-Claude Romand had built a fortress of success. He lived with his wife Florence and their 2 young children, Caroline and Antoine, in a beautiful home in Privacine, Mornes, a French town just across the border from Geneva. He wore expensive suits, drove a respectable car, and spoke with authority about his vital work at the World Health Organization. Friends and family admired him, investing their life savings with him, confident in his financial genius. His wife, Florence, never questioned the source of their comfortable life. She trusted him implicitly, never feeling the need to check the bank accounts or question his long business trips. He was her brilliant, devoted husband, and their life was perfect. But the perfection was a performance, an exhausting one-man show that ran for 18 years. Every morning, Jean-Claude would put on his suit, kiss his family goodbye, and drive off to his prestigious job. But he never crossed the border into Geneva. Instead, he would drive to a highway rest stop or a public library and sit for 8 hours, meticulously reading medical journals and newspapers. He was an actor studying his lines, gathering just enough information to maintain the illusion of being a doctor. His life was a series of close calls. A debt collector's call would come to the house, and he'd have to sprint across the room to snatch the receiver before his wife could answer. He lived in constant, heart-pounding fear of the one question he couldn't answer, the one detail he overlooked. The lies were a financial black hole. To fund his fabricated life, he had systematically drained the savings of everyone who trusted him, including his own elderly parents and his father-in-law. He was perpetually borrowing from one person to create the illusion of investment returns for another, but by late 1992, the house of cards was swaying. The credit cards were maxed out, the debts were astronomical, and his investors were growing impatient. The catalyst came when his wife, after years of blissful ignorance, started asking to see bank statements and deeds to their apartment in Paris, an apartment that didn't exist. He was holding up the ceiling with one hand and patching the floor with the other. He had run out of money, out of lies, and out of time. The game was up. For Jean-Claude Romand, the thought of his family discovering he was a fraud wasn't just embarrassing. It was an existential threat. It was the complete annihilation of the man he had pretended to be. In his twisted, narcissistic mind, admitting he was a failure was a fate worse than death. So, he devised a horrifying solution. He believed that by killing his family, he would be sparing them the shame and devastation of the truth. It was a final monstrous act of control, disguised as mercy. he calmly went to a local store and purchased a stun gun and a silencer for a rifle he already owned. The preparation was as mundane as a trip for groceries. On the morning of January 9th, 1993, the performance reached its gruesome finale. The atmosphere in the Roman home was deceptively normal. It was a quiet Saturday. That day, he bludgeoned his wife to death with a rolling pin as she slept. He then waited for his children to come home, played with them, and put them to bed. He read them a story from a Tintin comic book before shooting them in their sleep. The next day, he drove to his parents' house, had lunch with them, and then shot them both, along with their dog. After committing the murders, he didn't flee. He didn't break down. He returned home, took a dose of barbiturates, and set the house on fire, a final, failed attempt to erase himself along with his secrets. Firefighters responding to the blaze found Jean-Claude unconscious but alive. The discovery of the bodies across 2 separate locations triggered a massive investigation as detectives began to dig into the life of the respected Dr. Roman. They found nothing. The World Health Organization had no record of him. The medical school he claimed to have graduated from had expelled him in his 2nd year. The bank accounts were empty, propped up by a phantom fortune. The man his friends and family thought they knew was a ghost. He had never been a doctor. He had never worked a day in his adult life. He was captured from his hospital bed. His lies finally burned away to reveal the empty man underneath. Jean-Claude Romand was found guilty of the murders and sentenced to life in prison. He became eligible for parole in 2019 and was released, required to live in a monastery under electronic surveillance. The case stands as a chilling monument to the destructive power of shame and the terrifying depths of narcissism. A reminder that the most monstrous secrets can hide behind the most ordinary smile. Thanks for watching. And if you want to hear more stories like this one, you can find the Strange, Dark, and Mysterious podcast on all major platforms.